Chapter 3695, Hehe, let's go to the territory of the giant beasts of starry sky. Wang Xian smiled faintly when he heard their word. In the invincible domain, the old monsters of the two pinnacle races were completely terrified. They were either hiding in a very secluded place or had escaped back to their races. It would be extremely difficult to find them. Wang Xian did not intend to continue his search. He headed to the territory of the giant beasts of starry sky and killed them. Wang Xian's trip to the invincible domain could be considered to be very satisfactory after getting rid of the giant beasts of starry sky. Yes, Dragon King. Wu Shuo and the rest answered and followed Wang Xian into the territory of the giant beasts of starry sky. Just as Wang Xian headed towards the territory of the giant beasts of starry sky and was about to carry out a massacre, news from the outside world blew up in the chaotic continent. This news came from within the invincible domain. It also came from the declaration of an expert from the Dark Angels of the Angel Clan, one of the pinnacle races. When Wang Xian hunted down the experts from the Angel Clan and the Phoenix Clan in the invincible domain, it completely infuriated the old monsters of the two pinnacle races, especially the Dark Angels. All along, it had always been the Radiance Angels who attacked the Dragon King. In the end, they suffered an unexpected disaster. They were attacked by the Dragon King. There were even hundreds of Dark Angels who died in the hands of the Dragon King. This filled the Dark Angels who escaped from the invincible domain with rage. The Dark Angels who escaped from the invincible domain came to complain to their seniors. Although it was the Angel Clan who had been besieging and trying to destroy the Dragon King, there was still a difference between the Radiance Angels and the Dark Angel. The Dark Angels also bore the consequences for the Radiance Angels. This made one of the Dark Angels' experts of the Dark Angels very unhappy. This Dragon King is too arrogant. He killed the disciples of the Dark Angels when the Radiance Angels attacked him. He must be courting death. The eyes of a Dark Angel expert of the sovereign level were filled with coldness. He naturally could not blame the Radiance Angels for this matter. The Radiance Angels and the Dark Angels were two different races, but they were also one race. They had the same Angel Emperor. Dragon King, you killed the Dark Angels wantonly in the invincible domain. Just you wait and see. Your Dragon Palace will be annihilated one day. This Dominator-level Dark Angel directly declared on the universe's AI. And because a Dominator-level expert made such a declaration on the universe's AI, it attracted the attention of many experts. What happened in the invincible domain was especially huge. The experts and disciples of other peak clans also received the news. This caused them to participate in the discussion in the invincible domain. I heard from a senior in the clan that the Dragon King was invincible in the invincible domain. He subdued 7 mad devils and killed 2 to 3 of them. Moreover, the Angel race and Phoenix race sent over 800 third-order sovereigns to attack him, but they were all killed instead. This Dragon King is a little sick. He's definitely not an ordinary mutant divine dragon. He can even kill a crazed demon in the invincible domain. How terrifying. He's definitely invincible below the ruler level. Invincible. They're really invincible below the Dominator realm. It looks like it won't be long before the Dragon Palace rises to the level of a peak race. On the universe AI, the experts and disciples of the pinnacle races were discussing in shock. As for the discussion of the disciples of the peak races, the experts of the various high-level races and forces in the chaotic continent could naturally see it as well. They looked at the news one by one, and their faces were filled with shock. It can't be. The Dragon King is really invincible in the invincible domain. Hiss, is this real or fake? Even the experts and disciples of the pinnacle races are saying that the Dragon King is invincible below the ruler level. The Dragon King actually forced 2 experts from the pinnacle races to escape from the invincible domain. He actually subdued 7 of the strongest existences in the invincible domain. This is unbelievable. Just how strong is the Dragon King now, to be able to infuriate a ruler from the angel race? Over 800 third-order sovereigns surrounded the Dragon King, but they were all killed by the Dragon King. Even a true first or second-order universe sovereign wouldn't be this strong, right? When the experts of the various races of chaotic continent received this news, Their faces were filled with disbelief and shock. How long has it been since the Dragon King entered the Invincible domain? Just a few years, right? But a few years had actually caused the entire Invincible domain to tremble, causing 2 experts from the pinnacle races to escape from the Invincible domain, and to become truly invincible. Such a battle record was simply unprecedented below the universe sovereign realm. The experts of the pinnacle races said that the Dragon Palace will become a pinnacle race soon. It seems like the Dragon Palace is really going to rise. I can't believe that the Dragon Palace is actually going to become a pinnacle race in such a short time. The Dragon King is too strong. This is simply recreating the glory of the divine dragon bloodline. What the ancestral dragon leader failed to do is about to be done by the Dragon King. The group of experts from the higher echelons discussed in shock on the universe AI. Keek. At the same time, in the Dragon Palace below the Heaven Eternal River, Prime Minister Turtle and the experts of the Dragon Palace looked at the information on the universe AI, their faces filled with pride. That was their Dragon King, their invincible Dragon King. The resources that the Dragon King brought this time are too much. The Dragon Palace will definitely receive a terrifying upgrade. Prime Minister Turtle stood in the dragon transformation pool, smiling as he looked ahead. This time, Wang Xian had killed more than 1,000 Third-Order Universe Sovereigns in the Invincible domain. Among them, many of the corpses were far stronger than ordinary Third-Order Universe Sovereigns by 1 to 2 times, or even 3 to 4 times. Other than these, there were also the corpses of giant space beasts and about 5,000 driftwood bird. These driftwood birds were wild beasts with Second-Order Universe Sovereigns' combat strength. 5,000, a total of 5,000. This was enough to increase the number of Third-Order Universe Sovereigns in the Dragon Palace by 500. Other than that, there were also a large number of divine kingdoms and innate spiritual treasures. In short, the upgrade of the Dragon Palace this time was unprecedented. The experts of the Dragon Palace would also reach a terrifying level. Although they might not be comparable to the pinnacle races, at least in terms of foundation, the Dragon Palace had received a huge boost. However, none of this was known to the outside world. When the Dragon Palace displayed its strength again, even the pinnacle races would be shocked. Chapter 3696, Dragon King, it's right in front. Just as the outside world was in shock, Wu Shuo and the rest pointed to the front and said to Wang Xian from the space giant beast's territory in the Invincible domain. In front of them, there was an incomparably huge lair in sight. This was a beehive-like nest that contained a terrifying amount of energy. The energy made Wu Shuo and the rest shudder. They did not dare to enter recklessly. What is this? Do you know? Wang Xian stared at them and raised his eyebrows. The horrifying beehive-like building in front was very strange and contained a very powerful aura. Even Wang Xian found this aura a little terrifying. An existence that could make him feel fear was definitely not an ordinary thing. I don't know. Wu Shuo shook her head. It's a little strange indeed. This is the deepest part of the Invincible domain. In the past, there were powerful space giant beasts roaming around here. Even with our strength, we could not come here. Ming Xiaosheng said with a contemplative look on his face. I remember a senior once said that he went to the deepest part of the Invincible domain and saw an unusable treasure. It should be this treasure. An unusable treasure? Upon hearing his words, Wang Xian revealed a doubtful look. Yes, I don't know why the senior said that. But he should be talking about the nest in front. This nest doesn't look like a dilapidated holy nation. Ming Xiaosheng nodded and said. It doesn't look like it. Lei Yishan looked ahead and nodded. But this building is still here and has not been taken away by the experts from the peak races. There must be a special reason. Wang Xian nodded and said, a group of space giant beasts is hiding in here? Not here. Wu Shuo nodded and said, Dragon King, according to the investigation of my array, they are hiding over there. Look, there is a dilapidated holy nation beside this strange building. Wang Xian looked over and indeed, there was a dilapidated holy nation beside the beehive. More than half of the holy nation was submerged in this beehive. Let's go over. Wang Xian looked at the dilapidated god nation that had sunk into the hive and flew over. At the same time, he sent a message to Enlai. As he approached the side of the beehive building, Wang Xian suddenly sensed a slightly familiar aura. His eyes widened and he laid down a demon spirit altar in front of him. "Greetings, Dragon King." The next moment, Enlai appeared in front of Wang Xian and bowed to him. Wu Shuo and the others were surprised to see Enlai suddenly appear. Directly ignoring space and the void barrier of the invincible domain, this ability was a little strange. "Hey, Dragon King, this strange building gives me a very familiar feeling. It feels like it's in space." Enlai's gaze fell on the beehive building as soon as he appeared, and he said with a puzzled expression, "Really?" When Wang Xian saw it, his eyes lit up. Space was what Enlai called his ability. Whether it was teleportation or teleportation, Dark Blaze's abilities involved space. And in the universe, there was no space attribute. The universe's origin source had 9 great attributes. The origin source attribute could fuse and evolve into other special attributes, but the space attribute was not present. There was no such thing as a time attribute. But Enlai could control space. This was very strange. This had something to do with the demon spirit altar and the demons that he had met previously. Did this beehive building have a space that Enlai was familiar with? "Enlai, enter the dilapidated holy kingdom at the side first. Be careful when you enter. There are some powerful star behemoths inside." Wang Xian's eyes flickered slightly. The Tai Chi dragon coiled around Enlai and said to him, "Yes, Dragon King." Enlai shifted his gaze to the dilapidated holy kingdom at the side. In the next moment, his figure disappeared. "Dragon King, this is..." When Lei Shan and the others saw Enlai vanish in an incomparably strange manner, they were all astonished. They could sense that Enlai did not seem strong, but his ability to appear and disappear mysteriously surprised them. Wang Xian did not answer them, but stood there quietly. "Wang." Soon, Enlai appeared by Wang Xian's side and nodded to Wang Xian. "Let's go. Don't resist." Wang Xian ordered Wu Shuo and the rest. Enlai's energy enveloped them, and they disappeared instantly. After they entered, Wang Xian scanned the surroundings. This was the interior of an ordinary dilapidated holy kingdom. As far as he could see, he did not see any star behemoth. There's a lingering aura of a star behemoth here, but it seems to have left." Wu Shuo sensed the surroundings with a compass in her hand. She frowned slightly. The intelligence of star behemoths is not low. "They might have left," Shisen said. Wang Xian scanned his surroundings and fixed his eyes on the spot in front of him. He moved and flew over immediately. As he flew forward, Wang Xian realized that the void in front of him seemed to be separated, and a part of this holy kingdom had integrated into another space. Could it be inside? Water Demon flew over and guessed. Wu Shuo held the sorcerer's compass and frowned. She could not figure out anything. "Enlai, can you sense anything?" Wang Xian stared ahead and asked. "Dragon King, the energy that separated the void is similar to the energy in my body." Enlai's eyes flickered as he spoke. The birth of Enlai was very coincidental and strange. It could not be replicated. Enlai's advancement was also very strange. He needed to absorb the energy of the demonic soul altar. In his mind, there was an icon of the demonic soul altar. It was densely packed with countless icons. He could teleport directly, but the place he would be teleported to was very strange and creepy. That place did not seem to be the interior of the chaotic continent. There were also creepy creatures there. With Wang Xian's current knowledge, he still could not figure out what that place was. In short, everything seemed very strange. He was also very curious about this beehive building that was similar to Enlai's energy. "Go inside and take a look. Be careful," Wang Xian said to him. "Dragon King, I don't think I need to teleport." As Enlai spoke, he walked to the energy that separated the void and reached out to touch it. His palm passed through it easily. Wang Xian saw this and raised his eyebrows. He walked over and reached out his palm. However, his palm was blocked outside. The power of the 5 elements was condensed, but it had no effect on this energy. Chapter 3697. Even with Wang Xian's current strength, which was stronger than a second-order universe sovereign, He was able to make this void barrier remain motionless. Yet Enlai could stretch out his hand and pass it over. One could imagine that this energy was similar to the energy in Enlai's body. Go in, Wang Xian said to Enlai. Enlai nodded. With a move, his figure disappeared. Wu Shuo and the rest reached out to touch. They wanted to enter, but there was no way. Dragon King. The next moment, Enlai's figure appeared. He looked at Wang Xian with a tinge of shock in his eyes. What's wrong? Wang Xian looked at him. Dragon King, there are dozens of corpses inside. Take a look. As he spoke, Wang Xian felt the surrounding scene change. It was as though they had entered a special space. There was no attribute in this space. He could not feel any energy. Dragon King, I can feel the energy in my god nation being isolated. Shisen suddenly exclaimed. Energy was isolated. This meant that they could not absorb energy from the god nation. There was no energy here. As time passed, their physical bodies would die here. In other words, they would die for real. There is no energy around and the god nation is isolated. Wang Xian nodded his head and looked ahead. At this moment, they seemed to have entered the interior of a beehive. This was an oval space. In front of this space, there were corpses. There were human experts' corpses and a few galactic beasts' corpses. The galactic beasts' corpses were obviously killed. As for the human corpses, they were entrenched there. It was as though they had died because there was no energy to absorb. Dragon King, look. That corpse has golden skin, golden hair, and golden bones. It's a gold man. It's a gold man. Suddenly, an exclamation was heard. Wang Xian looked over and fixed his eyes on the golden corpse. The gold man was also known as the Golden War God. It was once a peak race before the last apocalypse. It's really a gold man. Didn't the gold man race perish in the last apocalypse? Why are there still their corpses here? Wu Shuo asked in surprise. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. The gold man was a peak race expert before the last apocalypse. He was an existence with an extremely terrifying physical body. Wang Xian walked over and touched the skeleton with his hand. He could still feel an indestructible feeling. Based on these bones alone, the strength of this person when he was alive is definitely not lower than a sixth-order sovereign. Wang Xian murmured. He had never imagined that he would encounter such a miraculous event this time. To be able to meet a race that stood at the pinnacle of the last cataclysm. Wang Xian did not know much about the cataclysm. In fact, it seemed like all the peak races would keep the cataclysm a secret. Dragon King, there are treasures here. At that moment, Lei Shan's surprised voice came from the side. Wang Xian looked over and saw a sword not far away from the skeleton of the gold man. A golden sword. The sword was already sheathed, but even so, one could tell that this sword was extraordinary. Lei Shan extended his hand and took out the golden sword. He then pulled it out. A sharp aura could be felt. However, it seemed that because it had not absorbed energy for a long time, the special ability had disappeared. This is definitely an innate cardinal treasure, a powerful one, Lei Shan said. Wang Xian nodded his head and walked over immediately. He held the golden sword in his hand and moved his palm. Wang. A wave of metal attribute energy was injected into the sword. Faint figures of gold men appeared around the longsword and a sharp radiance swept across the surroundings. A very powerful golden sword. Wang Xian was slightly surprised. Dragon King, there are more treasures here. I don't know how many, but there are a total of 6 innate cardinal treasures. At this time, the voices of Wu Shuo and the rest could be heard. Wang Xian flew over and immediately saw the treasures placed around the corpses. Even though there was no energy, he could tell that they were innate cardinal treasures that were created by heaven and earth. A book, a seal, a chessboard, a dagger, a black brush, and a painting. Wang Xian swept his gaze across and waved his arm. The treasures floated around him one by one. 6 innate cardinal treasures floated around him. Suddenly, there were some changes to the painting. The painting suddenly moved, and a shadow slowly appeared. The face of the shadow could not be seen clearly. It was in the form of a human and wearing a windbreaker. Juniors, I don't know if you are from the Void Universe or the disciples of the Nine-Source Universe. Let's just take it that you are the disciples of the Nine-Source Universe. It is fate that you are able to enter this place. At this time, the shadow suddenly spoke. Obviously, the remnant energy had been activated. Wang Xian looked over and revealed a curious look. Void Universe. Nine-Source Universe. The corpses you see here are all of us, survivors of the last cataclysm. Where you are standing is the enemy of the Nine Essences Universe, the Void Pagoda of the Void Universe. The Void Pagoda is the ultimate war treasure of the Void Universe's royal clan, the Void Folk. This supreme treasure was left behind by the war god of the Pinnacle race, the Gold Men, during the previous cataclysm. We tried to crack it but failed. Subsequently, it was snatched away by the cosmic beasts of the starry universe. Wang. As the illusory figure spoke, Wang Xian and the rest listened quietly. Suddenly, the illusory figure trembled and gradually disappeared. What the fuck? He disappeared without finishing his sentence. What's going on? Seeing this scene, Demon Feather could not help but roar. Indeed, the words of this illusory figure had caused them to be too puzzled and shocked. Nine-Source Universe, Void Universe, Starry Universe. What did each of these mean? What was going on with the cataclysm? They were sure that the Nine-Source Universe was the universe they were in, but what about the Void Universe? The enemy of the Nine-Source Universe? And what did the cosmic beasts of the Starry Universe mean? Weren't the cosmic beasts of their universe? Hearing the words of the shadow, Wang Xian's face was filled with curiosity. Void Universe, Void Tower. Wang Xian murmured and looked at Enlai beside him. In the past, Enlai had directly teleported to the coordinates in his mind and said that the world was very strange. Moreover, when Wang Xian received the unbeginning sacred wings, he had inherited a scene. The owner of the unbeginning sacred wings was fighting with a powerful existence that could teleport. Does this have anything to do with the cataclysm? Judging by the time, there are still billions of years before the cataclysm arrives. Wang Xian murmured and looked around. In the entire oval-shaped space, other than these corpses, there was nothing else. This space was only a few thousand kilometers in size and was not very big. Clearly, this was just a small part of the Void Tower. Chapter 3698. It's a pity that the virtual figure has used up too much energy. There are some things that he didn't finish. This should be related to the cataclysm. Wu Shuo and the rest looked around and frowned. The virtual figure's words were related to the biggest secret of the entire universe. But it was a pity that he didn't finish. Wang Xian looked around and could only make a guess. He checked the surroundings and found a good harvest. Enlai, let's go to the depths of the Void Tower. After finding nothing else, Wang Xian instructed Enlai. Yes, Dragon King. Enlai nodded and followed Wang Xian to the location of the barrier. Wang Xian looked at Enlai, who nodded and stretched out his hand. No, Dragon King. This is not an energy barrier. I need to be teleported over, Enlai said as his arm couldn't reach over. Wang Xian nodded. Wang. In the next moment, Enlai disappeared. Soon, he came back again. Dragon King, it's a space that's exactly the same as here. Enlai returned and said to Wang Xian. Bring us there. Wang Xian said. In an instant, they arrived at another space. This space was the same as the previous one. The only difference was that there was nothing in it. Continue. Wang Xian continued to instruct. Enlai continued to teleport to check out the situation. This time, Enlai didn't search for a space before teleporting over. After dozens of seconds, Enlai returned to Wang Xian. How is it? Wang Xian asked. Dragon King, many places are the same as here. But I found the location of a main hall. Enlai answered. Let's go over. Wang Xian's eyes lit up. Wang. In the next moment, they arrived at a strange main hall. The entire main hall was very strange. There were chairs on the surrounding walls, and each chair was 5 meters in size. Above the seat in the center of the front seat, there was a blank ball floating in the air. This chair was even more majestic. It was about 10 meters long and had strange patterns carved on it. The entire main hall was extremely solemn. On the ground, There were many patterns carved on it. These patterns were all creatures in the shape of demonic beasts. They were prostrating on the ground as though they were worshipping the surrounding chairs. More than 10,000 chairs. These chairs are very strange, and the materials are also very strange. Wu Shuo flew to a chair and looked at it curiously. Sorcerers were recognized as the most knowledgeable in the universe. Materials that Wu Shuo had never seen before were extremely rare. Is this something from the void world? This place feels a little strange. Ming Shuo Sheng scanned the surroundings and looked on curiously as well. Enlai, can you sense anything? Wang Xian asked Enlai. Dragon King, that transparent ball is very strange. It gives me a strong feeling of energy. Enlai pointed at the ball and said. Wang Xian flew over and sized up the ball. He tried to sense it, but there was nothing wrong with it. Darklai reached out and placed his palm on the sphere. After a moment of hesitation, he poured some energy into it. Buzz. At this moment, when Dark Blaze's energy fused into the sphere, the entire sphere emitted a special energy. This energy felt a little hollow and strange. The sphere slowly lit up, and a ray of light shone down. When the energy landed there, the entire space seemed to change. An incomparably huge space appeared out of thin air. The appearance of the space stunned Wang Xian and the rest. This was an unusually huge space. In the center of the space was a huge statue. The statue looked completely human, but the difference was that the eyes of this statue had white pupils, completely hollow white eyes. The clothes on its body also seemed to be weaved from scales. And around this huge statue were a large number of corpses. A large number of corpses that looked like demonic beast. The densely packed corpses stretched as far as the eye could see. What a huge space. How could the Void Tower contain such a huge space? Wu Shuo and the rest of the mad demons were shocked. It was as though there was a planet hidden in this hall. Wang Xian looked over and flew over immediately. He looked at the huge statue and sensed that there was no longer any energy fluctuation. Then, he flew around to check it out. There were no living creatures in the entire space. He looked at the building below the statue and flew over immediately. The entire statue was millions of kilometers in size. Surrounding the statue was a huge white building. He entered the white building and looked around. This building was more normal, but many of the patterns on the building looked very strange. The huge patterns seemed to be telling the history of the development of a race. Wang Xian kept walking forward and found the foot of the statue at the end. However, there was an entrance at the foot, as though the entire statue was hollow. Wang Xian entered and immediately sensed a special energy. This energy was the same as Enlai's. Dragon King, it contains the power of space. This power is very strange, and I feel that I can absorb it. At this moment, Enlai's face was full of surprise as he spoke. Is that so? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows slightly, lifted his head, and looked up. There was a seat at the top. The seat was located within the statue, and it felt very strange no matter how he looked at it. He flew over immediately and came to the side of the seat. On the seat, there were 2 round balls and a few strange items. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment before sitting on it. He did not feel anything strange or peculiar. Enlai, try sitting on it. This seat contains the power of space. Wang Xian said to Enlai. Enlai nodded, sat on the seat, and injected energy into it. Wang. In the next instant, Enlai's figure seemed to have merged with the entire seat. Wang Xian could feel a strong pressure coming from Enlai. This is. A bewildered look appeared on his face. Dragon King, this isn't an ordinary statue. It's a void armor. I can see the entire space through this void armor. Besides that, I've also obtained some information. As Enlai spoke, his eyes lit up. I can now control the entire void tower. Besides that, I've also obtained some information. Information? What information? Wang Xian immediately asked Enlai. Dragon King, this void tower is a war treasure of the Void Royal Army. The previous owner had the strength of a Void Prince. I'm not sure what level the Void Prince is at, but there are a few treasures here that are very precious. Enlai said. For the convenience of reading next time, you can click on the collection button below to record this entry. Chapter 3699. Treasures? Wang Xian's eyes lit up when he heard Enlai. His gaze fell on a few items at the side. Other than the 2 round balls connected to the chair, there were 3 other treasures: a scroll, a dagger, and a box. There should be something in the box. Yes, Dragon King. They are all rare treasures, Enlai said as he picked up the scroll. Dragon King, this is an escape scroll. You can escape in any terrain and any area with this scroll. It can be used 3 times. This dagger belonged to the previous owner of the Void Tower. You can only use it if you have spatial ability. In this box, there is a treasure from the Void Universe. A very precious treasure, Enlai said as he opened the last box. There was a ball of white liquid inside. This is called Void Fusion. It can perfectly fuse an item that is compatible with you into your body, especially in terms of integrating bloodlines. This is the most precious of the 3 treasures. Wang Xian's eyes lit up when he saw the liquid fusing with the scroll and the void. This was indeed a rare treasure. A scroll that could ignore any restrictions was a treasure that could save one's life. But this void fusion was interesting. At the same time, it was also very useful. Such an item was a treasure to a sorcerer. It can perfectly integrate an item that is compatible with me into my body, Wang Xian murmured as his eyes lit up. He moved and the unbeginning sacred wings appeared on his back. Speaking of which, the unbeginning sacred wings was considered a part of Wang Xian's body. However, it had yet to achieve a perfect fusion. The power of wind and thunder flowed only on the unbeginning sacred wings. On the unbeginning sacred wings was Wang Xian's dragon soul doppelganger. This fusion had yet to reach a perfect stage. Wang Xian's corpse was very strange. The 5 elements, light and darkness, and wind and thunder were integrated. The 5 elements were completely integrated with the body. The light and darkness were only at the position of the heart. They had yet to completely integrate with the 5 element. As for the wind and thunder, they had yet to reach the stage of integration. They were just attached. Why don't I use this void fusion on the unbeginning sacred wings and myself to reach the stage of the heart of light and darkness? Wang Xian murmured. He felt that he could give it a try. After further integration, Wang Xian felt that his strength could be enhanced in terms of speed and attack. As he calculated in his mind, he put away the void fusion scroll. As for the dagger, only Darkblaze could use it. Other than these, is there anything else in the Void Tower? Wang Xian asked Enlai. That's all, Dragon King. Now that I can control this Void Tower, do you want to take it away? Enlai asked. What's the use of this Void Tower? Asked Wang Xian. The Void Tower has powerful offensive capabilities, but I can't unleash it on my own. In addition, the Void Tower is like a temporary training ground for the Void Royals in other universes. Our 9 Essences universe has the power of the Void, but absorbing it is very, very slow. The defensive power of the Void Pagoda is also very terrifying. This kind of Void Pagoda is also a treasure in the hands of the Void Royal family, Enlai answered. In order not to attract attention, I'll leave the Void Tower here. It'll be easy for you to come over, Darklai. Wang Xian pondered for a moment before speaking. It's Dragon King. Enlai nodded. After looking around, Enlai opened the restriction of the Void Tower, and Wang Xian could come to any place in the Void Tower. After looking around and finding no more treasures, Wang Xian was ready to return. Let's go back to the Dragon Palace. The galactic beasts have escaped, and the matters in the Invincible domain have been settled. Wang Xian said to Enlai. Yes. Enlai answered immediately. Wu Shuo and the other 6 maniacs naturally followed Wang Xian back to the Dragon Palace. With Enlai around, they returned to the Dragon Palace in an instant. Greetings, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle, who sensed Wang Xian's return, rushed over immediately and greeted him respectfully. Go and arrange a place for Wu Shuo and the rest to stay. Also, don't disturb me, he instructed Prime Minister Turtle. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle answered immediately and left with Wu Shuo and the other 6 maniacs. Wang Xian moved his palm, and the void integration appeared in his hand. According to the method that Enlai had taught, Wang Xian integrated his own energy and blood into the void integration. Soon, Wang Xian felt that the void integration seemed to have become a part of him. It had formed a perfect integration with him. With a thought, Wang Xian controlled the void integration to land on the unbeginning sacred wings, and gradually enveloped it completely. When the unbeginning sacred wings were enveloped, he could clearly feel that the connection between him and the unbeginning sacred wings had deepened. There was even a feeling that they were connected by blood. One should know that the unbeginning sacred wings were the wings of a powerful demonic beast. That demonic beast had the ability to search for enemies in the void. Even though it had been a long time since Wang Xian obtained it, it was still an external object after all. Because of the dragon soul doppelganger, it could be considered to be half integrated with Wang Xian, but now, Wang Xian could clearly feel the complete integration of the unbeginning sacred wings with him. Ding! The unbeginning sacred wings have integrated perfectly with the host. Congratulations to the host for comprehending the laws of Dharma, Netherworld Dragon Transformation, Wind and Thunder Dragon Life. Ding! The integration of the unbeginning sacred wings is complete. The host, Yin-Yang Wind and Thunder 5 Elements Divine Dragon, has transformed into a 9 Origins Divine Dragon. Just as the unbeginning sacred wings were completely integrated, the system's voice suddenly sounded. Wang Xian immediately opened his eyes, and a dazzling glow shone from them. Name, Wang Xian Race. 9 Origins Divine Dragon, Human Dragon Unification, Level 8 Universe Supremacy, 9th Transformation of Divine Dragon Transformation, Origin Source. 1%, 99% required for next breakthrough, Superpower, Dominate the marine animals. Rule over marine animals that are lower than your own level, devour living things to extract origin source. 5 elements control art of cultivation, Divine Dragon Transformation Superpowers, Soul Capture, Spiritual. Attachment Law of Cultivation, Dragon Eyes Locking All Directions, 5 Elements Dragon Claw, Yin-Yang World Breaker, 8 Luminaries Dragon Scale, Saint Dragon Shadow, 8 Divisions of Heavenly Dragon, Dragon Tomb, Soaring Cloud Dragon, Body of True Dragon Law of Cultivation, 8 Directions Dragon Pillar, 8 Dragons Doppelganger, Towering Dragon Horns, Mighty Heavenly Dragon, Tail Playing with Pearls, Dragon Breath of Life, Shadow Dragon Doppelganger, Netherworld Dragon Pursuit. Netherworld Dragon Transformation, Wind and Thunder Dragon Life. Law of Cultivation, Metal, Wood, Water, Fire, Earth, Light, Darkness, Wind and Thunder God Nation. Dragon Palace Possess Dragon Palace. Inborn Dragon Palace Members, 7960450 I actually became a 9 Origins Divine Dragon. Wang Xian stood in the Dragon King Hall, surrounded by the 9 elements, Metal, Wood, Water, Fire, Earth, Light, Darkness, Wind and Thunder. The power of the 5 elements was hidden within his body, the power of light and darkness was on the surface, and the power of wind and thunder surrounded him. The various phenomena made Wang Xian look as though he had a world of his own. For the convenience of reading next time, you can click on the collection button below to record this time. Void Fusion, 9 Origins Divine Dragon. Chapter 3700. It seems like I've gotten stronger. Wang Xian sensed his own body and looked at the flickering energy around him. His eyes lit up with excitement. A 9 Origin Divine Dragon had 9 attribute. The 5 elements, light, darkness, wind, and thunder were perfectly integrated into his body. I've gained 2 more Dharma laws at once. I feel that my speed and attack power have increased. Although it's not enough for me to fight someone of a higher level, it shouldn't be a problem for me to fight someone of the same level, Wang Xian murmured to himself. At the thought of this, he suddenly had an idea. My 9 attributes are now divided into 3 groups. The 5 elements, light and darkness, and wind and thunder. The rest are not integrated. What would it be like if I could integrate all 9 attributes together? Wang Xian felt that the possibility was high. The entire universe was dominated by 9 attribute. In other words, the 9 attributes could be integrated to support the universe. As for the ice, frost, and mist, they were all evolved from the 9 attribute. If Wang Xian could integrate all 9 attributes, would he be able to create a world? I don't think so. The universe also involves time and space. He shook his head and murmured to himself. No matter what, I've gained a lot this time. Wang Xian revealed a satisfied smile. After the trip to the Invincible domain, his strength had improved. He had also evolved into a 9-origin divine dragon. His current strength, coupled with the 4 dark ghost doppelgangers and Lingling, was heaven-defying. A second-order universe sovereign expert could be easily killed. Prime Minister Turtle. Wang Xian bellowed. Yes, Your Majesty. Prime Minister Turtle immediately came to the Dragon King Hall and bowed respectfully to Wang Xian. Tell me about the progress of the Dragon Palace members. Wang Xian said to Prime Minister Turtle. All the resources he had obtained in the Invincible domain had been placed in the Dragon Palace in advance. The progress of the Dragon Palace members should have ended. Dragon King, the number of third-order universe sovereigns in the Dragon Palace has reached 1,500. The number of Dragon Palace members with universe sovereigns and above has reached 4,000. Compared to before, my overall strength has increased by more than 7 times. Prime Minister Turtle reported respectfully. This time, Wang Xian had gained a lot. The corpses of the experts from the Angel race and the Phoenix race, as well as the Circle of Demon Breakers and the corpses of dire beasts, had boosted the Dragon Palace tremendously. Currently, among the advanced races in the universe, having a third-order universe sovereign was already considered a very powerful race. Just like the Light Giant clan and the Shepherd clan, who were enemies of the Dragon Palace, they were already very terrifying existences in the universe. However, their strength was merely equivalent to 20 to 30 third-order universe sovereigns. Currently, the Dragon Palace had 1,500 third-order sovereigns with the combat power of 1,500 third-order sovereigns. In addition, the Dragon Palace had a Frost Divine Dragon and 2 Bone Dragons. Other than that, there were 7 other mad demons. The 7 berserk demons all possessed strength that surpassed that of a mutated divine dragon. Moreover, they were very, very close to breaking through. If Wang Xian ordered them to make breakthroughs quickly, they might be able to complete their breakthroughs within 10 years. This kind of power was absolutely invincible among the high-level races. As for the other disciples of the Dragon Palace, they had also improved tremendously because of the huge amount of resources Wang Xian had provided. There were nearly 8 million disciples, and none of them were lower than the Universe Supremacy realm. Dragon King, with our strength, it won't be long before we become an apex race, Prime Minister Turtle said excitedly. Wang Xian nodded his head slightly. There's no hurry for now. It's best if the Dragon Palace can produce a few dozen sovereign realm experts before declaring our ascension to the apex race. He had always kept the reminder from the Fairy clan in mind. In addition, Wang Xian had completely offended the Phoenix clan and the Angel clan in the Invincible domain this time. He had to be careful. Once the Dragon Palace became an apex race, the other apex races would have sufficient reasons to attack the Dragon Palace. However, even though we won't declare ourselves to be an apex race for now, we can still establish the prestige of the Dragon Palace. Pass down the order immediately. From today onwards, all races in the universe are prohibited from hunting wyverns with the divine dragon bloodline. Any cultivator from the Sorcerer clan is prohibited from transferring the body of a wyvern. In addition, any forces with the divine dragon bloodline in advance are prohibited. Those without the consent of the divine dragon bloodline are prohibited from using them as mounts. The sale of those with the divine dragon bloodline is prohibited. Those who violate this rule will be exterminated. Wang Xian ordered Prime Minister Turtle with a stern face. He wanted to re-establish the prestige of the divine dragon race and the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palace had been promoted step by step from the periphery of the universe to the surroundings of the chaotic continent and to where it was today. He had seen a lot. In particular, many wyverns were reduced to mounts, and some of them became the so-called dragon knights. There were even many sorcerers who transferred the divine dragon bloodline. Hunting wyverns. Wang Xian wanted to exterminate all the forces in the universe. He wanted all forces in the universe to know that the divine dragon bloodline had risen again and the prestige of the divine dragon had been re-established. If there were any experts or disciples who still wanted to become dragon knights, they could only wait for their clan to be exterminated. Yes, Dragon King, Prime Minister Turtle answered immediately with his eyes shining brightly. Wang Xian nodded his head plainly. Send other divine dragons to other places of our dragon palace. After the news is released, if this situation is not stopped within a year, exterminate them directly. Dragon King, the external rules of the chaotic continent. We are now an internal force of the chaotic continent. We are prohibited from attacking ordinary forces outside the universe. Prime Minister Turtle hesitated for a moment before answering. It's all right. We will issue the order in advance. The pinnacle races will not interfere over such a small matter, Wang Xian said plainly. Rules were made by the strong to restrain the weak. The current Dragon Palace could already be considered as the pinnacle race in the future. Under the circumstances of issuing the order in advance, they would completely ignore some rules. No one would find trouble with the Dragon Palace over such a small matter. Even if they did, they would at most find the experts who triggered the Dragon Palace to take action. This was completely unnecessary for the pinnacle races. Yes. Prime Minister Turtle nodded his head and left immediately. Soon, the hundreds of divine dragons in the Dragon Palace arrived at the other Dragon Palaces through the teleportation device of the Dragon Palace. Along the way, the Dragon Palace had also left many Dragon Palaces in other places. Some of these Dragon Palaces were located in the periphery of the chaotic continent, while some were located in the starry sky. They were naturally flying over to pass on Wang Xian's will. Within the chaotic continent, a piece of news spread rapidly. Chapter 3701, Dragon King's Order, Dragon Palace's Order. From today onwards, no expert or disciple of any race or force in the universe is allowed to hunt or sell people with the divine dragon bloodline. Without the consent of the divine dragon bloodline holder, it is forbidden to use them as mounts or enslave them. It is forbidden to transfer the bodies of those with the divine dragon bloodline. It is forbidden to extract the divine dragon bloodline. Once discovered, your entire clan will be exterminated. Very quickly, this news spread at a terrifying speed through the universe's AI and within the Great Wasteland continent. Moreover, the divine dragon that carried Wang Xian's will had arrived at the periphery of the chaotic continent, which was surrounded by the starry sky. He had also released the same message on the universe AI. When this news came out, it caused a huge sensation. This is such a domineering announcement by the Dragon King. This is simply re-establishing the dignity of the divine dragon clan. Is the Dragon King preparing for the Dragon Palace to rise to the pinnacle in the future? TSK, this announcement is very domineering. Ever since the fall of the divine dragon race, many powerful races in the universe, especially the sorcerers, have coveted the bloodline of the divine dragon. They have transferred the body of the divine dragon bloodline into their own bodies. Now that this news is out, it is completely re-establishing the prestige of the divine dragon. I'm afraid some races are going to be out of luck. After the destruction of the divine dragon tribe, many sorcerers coveted the bloodline of the divine dragon. Many experts took pride in owning a sky dragon as a mount. Now that the Dragon Palace has risen, the dignity of the divine dragons has returned. This time, quite a few races were going to suffer a calamity. What if they still dared to deal with a flood dragon? I'm afraid it will be destroyed by the Dragon Palace. I don't know how strong the Dragon Palace is now, but with the Dragon King's strength, he can sweep the entire Invincible domain by himself. Now, the Dragon King's strength is no weaker than the real universe dominator. Inside the great desolate continent, the experts and disciples of the various races were discussing among themselves. This news from the Dragon Palace? It also shocked them. This could be a sign that the Dragon Palace was about to become a peak race. The glory and loftiness of the divine dragon clan was gradually revealed. Inside the great desolate continent, all the forces attached great importance to this announcement and order from the Dragon Palace. Some hunting. Even the forces that reared the wyverns immediately released them. Some experts and disciples who had draconic mounts immediately let go of their mount. They knew about it too. This order from the Dragon Palace was not a simple announcement. With the current power of the Dragon Palace, the experts of the primordial continent could not kill the races and experts on their side for no reason. Let's ignore this news from the Dragon Palace for now. The Dragon Palace has not reached the level of a peak race. Their claws can't reach here. We have also cultivated thousands of mounts with the bloodline of the divine dragon. This is our imperial dragon's most valuable asset. On a planet in the starry sky, a clan leader of a force said with twinkling eyes, "Clan leader is right. Although the Dragon Palace is strong, it cannot reach here. However, I have found that the Dragon Palace may be promoted to a peak race. Clan leader, we still need to make some arrangement." An old man replied, "Well, we do need to make some preparations. It is really troublesome. I did not expect the Divine Dragon clan to rise so quickly. Damn it." The clan leader in the center frowned slightly and could not help but curse. The news of the Dragon Palace touched the interests of many races and forces. It even affected the foundation of some forces. Dragon Knight, no matter where you were, was a very prestigious title. Now, the news of the Dragon Palace had undoubtedly made the term Dragon Knight disappear completely. However, it was still the same sentence. The heavens were high and the Emperor was far away. In addition to some rules, some forces in the starry sky completely ignored the rules of the Dragon Palace. Although some forces ignored the order of the Dragon Palace, there was one thing. All the sky dragons and divine dragon bloodline possessors in the universe were extremely excited when they heard the news. "Thank you, Dragon King. Our divine dragon bloodline finally has a powerful leader. If the Dragon Palace can become a peak race, no other race or expert in the universe will dare to enslave us, the sky dragons, and worship the Dragon King." Some divine dragon bloodline possessors looked in the direction of the primordial continent and knelt down in excitement. Chapter 3702, The Dragon Palace and the Dragon King's orders had been issued. Days passed. Wang Xian had entered a leisurely life. Every day, he would hang out with Guan Shuqing and the other girls and stroll around the continent. It was a leisurely life. A year passed quickly. Wang Xian sat on the dragon throne and read the information handed to him by Prime Minister Turtle. "Dragon King, according to the investigation of our Dragon Palace members, basically no forces in the inner and outer regions of the heaven-opening chaotic continent would dare to enslave and capture people with the bloodline of the divine dragon. However, outside the heaven-opening chaotic continent, many forces have ignored our orders. They all believe that our Dragon Palace's hands cannot reach that far." Prime Minister Turtle stood below and reported respectfully. Wang Xian nodded. "Get the Water Dragon leader and the rest here. Also, get them to bring all the Third Order Universe sovereigns under them. Also, get Tianzhen and Wu Shou here." "Yes, Dragon King," Prime Minister Turtle answered immediately. "Greetings, Dragon King. Greetings, Dragon King." Soon, Shui Linglong's father, the Water Dragon leader, and the leaders of the other 8 attributes arrived with their subordinates. There were more than 2,000 purebred divine dragons in the Dragon Palace. Among them, there were more than 300 Third Order Universe sovereigns. More than 2,000 purebred divine dragons belonged to the True Dragon battle team of the Dragon Palace. And these 300 were the top experts of the True Dragon battle team. They were the foundation of the Dragon Palace in the future. The current Dragon Palace had a strong foundation. "Tianzhen, how's the production of the Dragon Compass coming along?" Wang Xian looked at Tianzhen and the rest and asked. "Dragon King, it's done. 300 Dragon Compass can cover an area of 100 billion kilometers. Anyone with divine dragon bloodline will be able to sense it immediately," Wu Shou replied. Wu Shou's current attainments in witchcraft were much stronger than Tianzhen's. Currently, Tianzhen and Witch Dragon were learning witchcraft from Wu Shou. Wu Shou did not evolve into a witch dragon. The quota for Witch Dragon had reached the limit. In the future, there would be no more Witch Dragon in the Dragon Palace. In addition, the sorcerer lineage was no weaker than Witch Dragon. They also had the cultivation methods of the peak races. There were no weak races among the peak races. "All right." Wang Xian nodded his head and revealed a smile. "Chief of the Water Dragons, take a dragon-seeking compass and patrol the chaotic continent and the surrounding starry skies. Once you discover any forces or experts enslaving people with the divine dragon bloodline, kill them immediately." "It's Dragon King." The 300 divine dragons immediately responded loudly. These 300 divine dragons all possessed the strength of a third-order universe sovereign. This power was not weak even among the peak races. Roar! Roar! Soon, the 240 divine dragons around the Dragon Palace let out roars. They swayed their massive bodies and exuded an immense dragon might as they flew forward. 240 powerful divine dragons flying in the sky was a spectacular sight. Tianxing City was a city that was relatively close to the Tianhang River. The city lord of this city was a first-order sovereign realm expert. The Stellar Sky City was a neutral city, and the entire city was flourishing. Suddenly, a majestic dragon might swept over, causing all the experts, disciples, and residents in the city to tremble slightly. Their faces were filled with fear. What a majestic aura! What's going on? The aura is obvious, but there's no pressure. Over there are experts flying over. Hey, look, those are divine dragons, powerful divine dragons. Oh my god, so many divine dragons. It's the experts from the Dragon Palace. But, there are so many divine dragons. Within the city, all the experts, disciples, and residents looked in the direction of the Tianhang River. They saw 240 divine dragons flying in the sky. Those divine dragons were hundreds of thousands of meters long, exuding a powerful aura. They flew together, bringing great shock to all the residents in Stellar Sky City, 240 true dragons flying in the sky. It's been a long time since such a grand sight has been seen. The city lord of Stellar Sky City flew into the sky, looking at the 240 divine dragons and mumbling in shock. Welcome, lords of the Dragon Palace. When the 240 divine dragons flew over, the city lord of the Stellar Sky City could feel the unparalleled power from the divine dragons. He bowed respectfully and said, "That's right. One of the divine dragons responded and flew directly towards the teleportation portal. At the teleportation array of Stellar Sky City, all the experts and disciples moved to the side, looking at them with respect. The 240 divine dragons went through the teleportation array and left immediately. What a terrifying aura. It feels like any one of these terrifying divine dragons could destroy the entire Stellar Sky City. The Dragon Palace is much stronger than we imagined. 240 divine dragons. There are so many true dragons in the Dragon Palace. These should be true dragons with third-order sovereign battle strength. A total of 240 true dragons with third-order sovereign battle strength. The number of true dragons in the Dragon Palace is definitely not small. The glory of the divine dragon race is about to reappear. Within Stellar Sky City, all the experts and disciples were discussing. At the same time, 60 divine dragons flew out from the ocean of a planet. They swayed their huge bodies and flew in all directions. This terrifying aura caused all the creatures in the surroundings to tremble in fear. In the interior of the Great Desolate Continent, 240 divine dragons used the transportation formation to quickly arrive at the various cities. They brought along the dragon-seeking compass, which could quickly find those with divine dragon bloodlines. The dragon-seeking compass was made with dragon blood from the dragon transformation pool and Wu Shou's powerful array. It could even find those with divine dragon bloodlines hidden in the God Nation, unless the other party's God Nation was very strong. But under normal circumstances, it was impossible to avoid detection. 240 mystical dragons were searching around the various cities and races. The efficiency was still very high. At the edge of a race, Lei Yiming noticed the notification on the dragon-seeking compass. His eyes lit up as he stared at the race in front of him. The God Hunter race was a powerful high-level race. Lei Yiming flew into the territory of the God Hunter race. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, powerful figures flew towards Lei Yiming from the God Hunter race. They looked at the terrifying energy contained in Lei Yiming's body with respect. "Sir from the Dragon Palace, what brings you to our God Hunter race?" An old man from the God Hunter race asked respectfully. "I sensed the aura of a flood dragon in your race. Bring that flood dragon here." Lei Yiming stared at them and said directly. Chapter 3703, Her? The aura of a flood dragon? "Sir from the Dragon Palace, we don't have any flood dragons in our tribe." The experts from the God Hunter clan were shocked when they heard Lei Ming's words, but they quickly replied, "Huh? What happened? It's a true dragon from the Dragon Palace. He said we have a flood dragon here. Do we have a flood dragon in our tribe?" The Dragon Palace announced a year ago that they are enslaving flood dragons and forbade the hunting of flood dragons. Within the God Hunter clan, some of the strong disciples looked over, and their faces were filled with astonishment. In the central hall of the God Hunter clan, a young man's eyes narrowed when he saw the huge divine dragon in front of him. He panicked. "Bring that flood dragon here in 10 seconds. If that flood dragon is not enslaved by you and is willing to do so, you will be safe. If you enslave someone with the divine dragon bloodline, you will be annihilated." Lei Ming stared at them and said sternly. The divine dragon was not to be offended. Now that the Dragon Palace was on the rise, no other race could offend them, and no other race could offend someone with the divine dragon bloodline. Once discovered, they would be annihilated. What? The Dragon Palace is so domineering. The Dragon Palace made an announcement a year ago. I didn't expect them to come here now. Do we have a flood dragon in our tribe? Damn it. Down below, all the experts and disciples of the God Hunter clan heard Lei Ming's words. Their expressions changed, and there was a hint of panic in their eyes. Whoosh. At this time, an old man flew out from the center of the God Hunter clan and cupped his fists at Lei Ming. "Sir, from the Dragon Palace, our God Hunter clan does not have a flood dragon. If you don't believe me, you can come in and look for it." Roar. Roar. When Lei Ming heard him, he moved, and his huge dragon body flew directly toward the center of the God Hunter clan. He reached out with his dragon claws and grabbed at a spot below. "Sir, from the Dragon Palace, we are willing to let you search for it personally to prove our innocence. Please do not attack us." The old man's heart thumped violently when he saw how Lei Ming had forcefully broken through their building. He could not help but exclaim. Lei Ming ignored him and grabbed below with his dragon claws. The defense of the God Hunter clan's blessed grotto heaven opened. However, the defenses of the God Hunter clan's grotto heavens could only withstand the attacks of second-order universe sovereigns. Under Lei Ming's attack, it was directly broken. Not good. When a young man around the God Hunter clan's grand hall saw where Lei Ming was attacking, his heart skipped a beat. His eyes were filled with fear. A god kingdom was directly grabbed by Lei Ming, and the power backfired on the young man, causing him to spit out blood. Bam! The divine nation broke apart. Lei Ming stared inside and locked onto a dragon girl with dragon horns. The dragon lady was in a daze. When she saw Lei Ming, her body trembled violently. "I am a true dragon of the Dragon Palace. I am ordered by the Dragon King to inspect those with the Cosmos God Dragon bloodline. If you are imprisoned or enslaved, I will give you justice." Lei Ming stared at the dragon girl and asked. A powerful dragon's might surrounded her. Lord True Dragon, save me." That dragon lady knelt down and begged for mercy. "All right." Hearing her words, Lei Ming moved his dragon claws and a bolt of lightning wrapped around him, causing him to quickly fly into the sky. "Those who offend the divine dragon clan, die." Lei Ming let out a deep roar as a vast thunderbolt force erupted from his body. The surrounding area was instantly covered by lightning. Not good. There is a flood dragon in the god kingdom of our young clan leader. Not good. Some of the experts and disciples of the God Hunter clan were horrified when they saw this scene. Their young clan leader had enslaved a flood dragon. He actually hid a flood dragon in his own god kingdom. This thunder dragon exterminates the world. The divine dragon shall not be offended. Lei Ming roared. Countless lightning bolts struck downwards. The destructive power caused all the experts from the God Hunter clan to be filled with fear and despair. "It's over. The matter of the young clan leader has been discovered." No. At this moment, all the experts from the God Hunter clan felt the space around them changing. Boom, boom, boom. In the next moment, the entire God Hunter clan was covered in lightning. Lei Ming unleashed a powerful dragon might. The dragon might swept across, and his dragon breath descended. "No, that's the flood dragon enslaved by the young clan leader. What has it got to do with us?" No. Damn the young clan leader. The apocalypse had arrived, and the lightning dragon wreaked havoc. Lei Ming unleashed all his strength. All the buildings in the God Hunter clan crumbled and disappeared. With their strength, it was difficult for them to even escape. In the sky, the flood dragon lady who was imprisoned couldn't help but shed tears when she saw this scene. In less than a few minutes, the entire God Hunter clan was annihilated. You can look for your family. If you don't have any family, you can live in a neutral city. Or, you can go to the Dragon Palace in the Eternal River. If you can pass the Dragon's Gate, you can become a disciple of the Dragon Palace. If you can't, you can also stay in the vicinity. Lei Ming said to the Flood Dragon Lady after annihilating the God Hunter clan. With a wave of his arm, some divine stones fell beside him. He swayed his huge body and left immediately. The old lair of the God Hunter clan had been reduced to ruins. Thank you, Lord Divine Dragon. Thank you, Lord Divine Dragon from the Dragon Palace. The Flood Dragon Lady Long Ya floated in the air and knelt down immediately. She was filled with gratitude. Her eyes were filled with excitement and agitation. And the pride that came from her bloodline and heart. In the future, no one would dare to bully the Flood Dragons. This scene wasn't just happening in the God Hunter clan. It was happening in other clans as well. The order from the Dragon Palace had been issued a year ago. The experts of the clans in the Great Wilderness continent took it very seriously. However, as long as they hid the flood dragons in their own divine kingdom, everything would be fine. How would the Dragon Palace know that they had enslaved the flood dragons if they hid them in the Blessed Enclave? This wasn't a fluke, but a naive assumption. However, this time, they were wrong. There was a huge gap between the peak clans and the high-level clans. The current Dragon Palace could be said to have stepped into the threshold of the peak clans. Wu Shou's strength was comparable to a first-order sovereign realm sorcerer. The dragon-seeking compass that she created could be considered a treasure created by the experts of the peak clans. Naturally, it had an effect that these high-level clans couldn't imagine. This caused this group of lucky experts and clans to be annihilated. When experts and clans were annihilated by the divine dragons of the Dragon Palace, the news spread at a terrifying speed. The actions of the Dragon Palace and the strength of the experts of the Dragon Palace caused a huge uproar. Chapter 3704, Damn, the Dragon Palace banned the hunting and enslaving of flood dragons a year ago. Anyone who disobeys will be exterminated. Who would have thought that the Dragon Palace would actually do it? At least 5 to 6 high-level races have been exterminated by the Dragon Palace. This time, the Dragon Palace sent out over 200 divine dragons. Didn't you see the scene of those 200 divine dragons flying in the sky? It's simply too shocking. Over 200 true dragons, and all of them have the combat strength of a third-order universe sovereign. The strength of the Dragon Palace is much stronger than we expected. There are over 200 purebred divine dragons, and all of them have the combat strength of a third-order universe sovereign. This is just the number of purebred divine dragons that the Dragon Palace hasn't shown yet. There should be many more purebred divine dragons. Too strong. The Dragon Palace is too strong. They sent over 200 true dragons with the combat strength of a third-order universe sovereign to sweep across the universe. Such strength is invincible to any high-level race in the universe. Following the Dragon Palace's actions, the annihilation of the various races caused a huge uproar in the chaotic continent. The Dragon Palace's strength was domineering. The aura of over 200 purebred divine dragons caused the experts and disciples of the various races to be filled with shock. Especially the over 200 purebred divine dragons with the combat strength of a third-order universe sovereign. What did that mean? In the past, a race with 20 to 30 third-order universe sovereign experts was considered a top-tier existence among the high-level races. As for the Dragon Palace, they sent over 200 purebred divine dragons with the combat strength of a third-order universe sovereign. These were just purebred divine dragons. The various races in the universe also knew that the Dragon Palace had mutated frost divine dragons, powerful magi, and terrifying spike dragons. There was also the Invincible Dragon King. In addition, the Dragon King had subdued 7 crazy demons in the Invincible domain. Every single one of them had the strength of a first-order sovereign realm expert. The bloodline of the Dragon Palace is still too noble. The high-level races can only fight 2 ranks higher than them. Only the mutated races can fight 3 ranks higher than them. However, the experts and disciples of the Dragon Palace can easily fight 3 ranks higher than them. This is also the reason why the Dragon Palace is so terrifying today. This is the glory of a peak race. The divine dragon race has risen again. The divine dragons cannot be offended. Some experts from the various high-level races exclaimed in their heart. The current Dragon Palace was no longer a high-level race. It was too easy for the Dragon Palace to annihilate a high-level tribe. Pass down my order. All the powerful disciples of the Green Sky Authentic Sect are forbidden from enslaving and attacking those with the bloodline of the Divine Dragon. Those who violate this rule will be killed without mercy. Pass down my order. Inform all members of the succubus race to not harm anyone with the Divine Dragon bloodline. Anyone who disobeys will be killed. The Dense Jungle Tribe announces that all disciples are prohibited from enslaving or attacking those with the Divine Dragon bloodline. Violators will be killed without mercy. Congratulations to the Dragon Palace for advancing to the Pinnacle Tribe. Not long after, the patriarchs, leaders, and city lords of the powerful high-grade races in the vast Earth continent issued their orders. Some even directly announced on the Universe AI that it was forbidden to enslave and attack those with the Dragon God bloodline. Violators would be killed without mercy. He even wished the Dragon Palace to advance to the Pinnacle race. With the first race making a statement, more and more races followed suit. The Dragon Palace's momentum had been formed, and its invincible potential had been condensed. They were already standing above the advanced races. The advanced races knew how to please them. Who would have thought that the Dragon Palace had already reached such a stage, and that the Dragon King had already grown to such a stage? At the same time, in the Spirit Demon race, the Spirit Demon King looked at the information on the Universe AI, and his face revealed a trace of shock. That Dragon King is indeed not simple. He should have obtained the inheritance of a powerful Dragon King of the Divine Dragon race. It is highly possible that it is the inheritance of one of the few Dragon Kings of the Divine Dragon race, or even a few of them. His current strength is much stronger than a First-Order sovereign. By the side, the Spirit Demon King's father-in-law, the Black Vulture King, sat on the skeleton throne, and his eyes shone brightly. His current strength might not be much weaker than mine. Father-in-law, it can't be, right? After all, the Dragon King has yet to break through to the Universe Sovereign realm. How can he be compared to father-in-law? The Spirit Demon King was slightly shocked as he said, I have some understanding of the strength of the crazy demons in the Invincible domain. They all have the strength to kill a First-Order sovereign, and that Dragon King can kill a crazy demon in an instant. This combat strength is not weaker than an ordinary Second-Order Universe sovereign. The flames in the Black Vulture King's eyes danced as he said, that Dragon King is already so strong. The Spirit Demon King's face was filled with shock. Keek, the Dragon King is very strong. Our Red Bones is also very strong. The inheritance that Red Bones obtained is very terrifying. The Black Vulture King chuckled as he looked towards the front. There, Ling Red Bones floated in the air. Waves of blood-red energy burned with flames, completely enveloping him. It looked as though he was undergoing nirvana. Ling Red Bones was indeed undergoing nirvana. In less than 1,000 years, he would be able to break through to the Universe Sovereign realm. The most important thing was Ling Red Bones' inheritance. Even the Black Vulture King felt that her inheritance was extremely terrifying. Although the Black Vulture King's strength was not at the peak of the Universe Sovereigns, he still had the foresight. An inheritance that could make him feel fear, an inheritance that could make the peak race, the skeleton race, feel fear, one could imagine. Just as the great desolate continent's higher-level races were sucking up to the Dragon Palace on the AI. Over at the continental star space, some races were deeply aware of how much they were courting death. In the continental star space, 5th Order and 6th Order Venerables were already considered top-notch battles, and this time, they had to face a 3rd Order Universe Sovereign purebred Divine Dragon. No, we are from the continental star space. Your Dragon Palace is from the great desolate continent. You cannot kill us, or you will be punished. Within the continental star space's domain, dozens of planets were gathered together. But at this moment, all the experts and disciples on the planet were sprawled on the ground, their eyes filled with fear and despair. The divine dragon cannot be offended, the dragon's aura cannot be touched, die. A fire divine dragon stared coldly at them, slowly raising its dragon claws. Under its dragon's aura, all the experts and disciples on the planet could not move at all. The powerful dragon's aura could even directly crush them to death. Rumble. The fire divine dragon raised its dragon claws, directly grabbing towards the planet. In an instant, explosive sounds could be heard. The planets were like balloons, crushed by the claw. A race that wantonly bred and enslaved wyverns was directly annihilated. Chapter 3705. Are the experts of the Dragon Palace crazy? They are all divine dragons. How dare they destroy all the races in our starry sky without any scruples? It's too terrifying. That divine dragon destroyed the entire planet with a wave of his dragon claw. The foundation planet of the Tiani sect, which they have operated for hundreds of millions of years and paid a huge price to build, and set up countless defenses and attacks, was destroyed by a dragon breath. The experts of the Dragon Palace are too terrifying. Didn't the top races of the chaotic continent stipulate that the experts of the chaotic continent are forbidden from attacking the experts in our starry sky? How dare the Dragon Palace violate their rules? Is the Dragon Palace courting death? The divine dragons of the Dragon Palace are too ruthless. As long as any race enslaves the divine dragon bloodline, they will kill them all. Just the terrifying dragon power alone is enough to destroy a force. It's simply crushing. A clan can be destroyed with a breath. It's too terrifying. More than a dozen races have been destroyed by the divine dragons. What the Dragon Palace announced a year ago has been accomplished. Those who were lucky enough to survive have completely collapsed this time. It's a battle on a completely different level. Why didn't the experts of the top races of the chaotic continent show up? In the starry sky, when the 60 divine dragons flew over from the Dragon Palace, the doomsday of some races had already begun. In the starry sky, many races thought that because of the rules, the experts of the Dragon Palace could not attack them. But now it seemed that they were completely wrong. Not only did the Dragon Palace take action, but they also directly destroyed the races as promised a year ago. In a short period of time, more than a dozen races were destroyed by the divine dragons. A dragon breath, a dragon claw, and a dragon tail. They were easily destroyed. At this moment, all the experts in the starry sky knew how terrifying the Dragon Palace was, and how terrifying the divine dragons were. The experts who were lucky enough to survive, those who still enslaved the divine dragon bloodline, were extremely pale. Some of them quickly released the enslaved flood dragons. Some of them were wantonly posting messages on the universe AI. The experts of the Dragon Palace broke the rules and asked the experts of the top races to destroy them, asking the top races to protect the weak. One message after another appeared on the universe AI. But soon, a few rather explosive messages appeared in the continent encirclement starry sky. The Dragon Palace made a statement a year ago, but you guys didn't listen to it. You should have already searched for the Dragon Palace's situation at that time. You deserved to be destroyed. Why don't you take a look at the situation in the chaotic continent? Now, all the high-level races in the Great Wilderness continent have been defeated by the Dragon Palace. All of them wish the Dragon Palace to ascend to the pinnacle of races. It won't be long before the Dragon Palace becomes a peak race. Do you think the other peak races will offend the Dragon Palace for you? Furthermore, the Dragon Palace was once a descendant of the Divine Dragon Clan. When the Divine Dragon Clan was at its peak, who would dare to enslave a sky dragon? Now that the glory of the Divine Dragon has reappeared, we naturally have to restore our dignity. Just wait for death. No one will help you. Now that the experts of the chaotic continent believe that the Dragon Palace is about to become a peak race, the prestige of the future peak race is naturally not something you can provoke. Within the continent encirclement starry sky, there were some powerhouses and disciples of some forces that posted messages that attracted a lot of attention. Following which, the experts and disciples of the continent encirclement starry sky began to search for information regarding the Dragon Palace and the chaotic continent. When they saw the 243rd Order universe sovereigns of the Dragon Palace annihilating the various races on the chaotic continent, they were incomparably shocked. Following which, silence ensued. The Dragon Palace was already invincible within the chaotic continent. What was a small continent encirclement starry sky to them? With the terrifying strength and potential of the Dragon Palace, the so-called rules could no longer restrain the Dragon Palace. This was because the Dragon Palace of the divine dragon bloodline was about to ascend to the peak once again. Hence, some announcements and prestige of the Dragon Palace naturally could not be violated by the weaker races. Otherwise, where would the prestige of the peak race be? When the divine dragon clan was still at its peak, who would dare to enslave a sky dragon and call themselves a dragon knight? It was purely courting death. Now, it was merely reverting to the past. Even the Angel clan and the Phoenix clan, who had enmity with the Dragon Palace and Wang Xian, did not say anything. This was because although the Dragon Palace had broken the rules this time, according to the rules, the punishment would at most be killing the divine dragon that had attacked. As a peak race, it was completely unnecessary for the Dragon Palace to lose some experts in such a way. Even the third prince and the rest were somewhat disdainful. They also had their own pride and unyielding character. If they wanted to attack, they would completely annihilate the Dragon Palace. Since the Angel clan and the Phoenix clan did not say anything, the other peak races would not offend the Dragon Palace. They would not offend a force that had a 99% chance of reaching the peak race. In the end, as the experts of the continent encirclement starry sky had expected, the forces that had enslaved the divine dragon bloodline were annihilated one by one. In the end, there were no experts from the peak races to stand up for them. This made all the forces of the continent encirclement starry sky witness the might of the Dragon Palace once again. The divine dragon bloodline and the Dragon Palace had truly risen. In the following time, the forces of the continent encirclement starry sky made statements and began to bootlick the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian did not pay much attention to this matter. The only thing that made him a little wary was the reaction of the Angel clan and the Phoenix clan. However, they did not respond, which made him heave a sigh of relief. I should be able to calm down for a period of time. Let's go to the land of blood. Wang Xian murmured. In the land of blood, the progenitor tree could condense the blood-refining fruit to increase the number of purebred divine dragons in the Dragon Palace. At its peak, the Dragon Palace had millions of purebred divine dragons. Currently, with the existence of the Dragon Transformation Pool, the Dragon Palace could give birth to a large number of peak races. Although the number of purebred divine dragons did not have to reach millions, it should at least reach hundreds of thousands. This was because the mutation of purebred divine dragons was the true strength. Currently, my strength has been enhanced, the Dragon Palace has been upgraded, and the progenitor tree has also been upgraded. The speed of condensing the blood-refining fruit should be much faster. As he spoke, he gave some instructions and flew towards the land of blood. In the past, he could condense 2 blood-refining fruits in a year. Now, he should be able to double that number. 400,000 purebred divine dragons. This should be enough, he thought to himself. Next, the Dragon Palace would probably have to face the peak races. They were the enemies of the cataclysm. Therefore, he had to be fully prepared. Chapter 3706. A. The speed of the progenitor tree's blood refinement fruit has indeed increased significantly. It's at least doubled. Wang Xian stood at the bottom of the blood pool. The roots of the progenitor tree were rooted inside. Wang Xian sensed the speed of the blood refinement fruit's condensation and smiled. He could condense 4 in a year. If he wanted to condense 4 million blood refinement fruits, he would probably need 10,000 years. 10,000 years was neither long nor short. The stronger I am, the more I feel that the progenitor tree is insane. I'm starting to suspect that the divine dragon race and the insect race perished together for this blood refinement fruit. Wang Xian murmured with a smile on his face. The progenitor tree was insane, so insane that it was terrifying. Even an ordinary expert with the progenitor tree could build a pinnacle race as long as he did not die. This was the existence of the heavenly Yuan creation level. Time passed. After the 300 divine dragons patrolled the major races, the prestige of the Dragon Palace spread throughout the universe. In the universe, many divine dragon bloodline possessors were freed. No forces dared to kill divine dragon bloodline possessors for no reason. The divine dragon bloodline also rose completely. Peace was restored in the chaotic continent when the sky was split open. The blood refinement fruits condensed one after another, giving birth to purebred divine dragons in the Dragon Palace. Dragon King, we're about to break through. 8 years later, when Wang Xian was bored and deducing his attack, he suddenly received a message. This was a message from Wu Sha. When he saw the message, he was slightly stunned. He moved and returned to the Dragon Palace. Are we about to break through? In the dragon field of the Dragon Palace, Wu Sha, Water Demon, Yarrow Feather, Shisen, Ming Sha, Lei Shan, and Zhetian stood in the middle. Prime Minister Turtle and all the Universe Lord-level disciples of the Dragon Palace had arrived. Breaking through from the Universe Supremacy to the Universe Lord was a metamorphosis for the experts of the pinnacle races. It was also a catastrophe. For the core disciples of the pinnacle races, they could cultivate to the pinnacle of the Universe Supremacy realm without any shackles. However, it was extremely difficult to break through from the pinnacle of the Universe Supremacy realm to the Universe Lord. Many experts of the pinnacle races could not break through their entire lives. Wu Sha and Ming Sha were experts of the pinnacle races and possessed the legacies of the pinnacle races. Before they met Wang Xian, they would not have the chance to make a breakthrough. Ascending from venerable to sovereign was a qualitative leap for experts of peak races. Similarly, this advancement would be a disaster for all the experts and disciples of Dragon Palace in the future. It was impossible to create a universe ruler with just resources. The experts and disciples of Dragon Palace also needed to comprehend and cultivate by themselves. This time, Wu Sha and the others' breakthroughs would be a great experience for the future breakthroughs of the Dragon Palace experts. Greetings, Dragon King. All the disciples of Dragon Palace greeted respectfully when they saw Wang Xian. Wu Sha, you guys break through first. Wang Xian waved his hand and smiled at them. It's Dragon King. Wu Sha and the others nodded, their faces filled with excitement. The 7 of them looked at each other. Let's break through together. Haha, this time, I've waited for more than 10 billion years, more than 10 billion years. Haha, I have also waited for more than 5 billion years. Dark Killer, Wu Sha, and the others exclaimed excitedly. They had been trapped at the peak of the universe venerable realm for far too long. Rumble, rumble, rumble. As they spoke, waves of aura soared into the sky. The surrounding disciples of Dragon Palace were taken aback by the majestic and terrifying aura. Even Bei Shuang could only withstand the aura with the revolving frost around him. Their breakthroughs were forcefully made with great strength. This method is not representative. You guys just need to comprehend it. Don't use it as a reference for the future. Wang Xian reminded the disciples of Dragon Palace as he watched the quintuple kill and the others break through. Wu Sha and the others' breakthroughs were made with great strength and a strong accumulation of energy. This method was not advisable. In the entire universe, other than Crazy Mo from the Invincible domain, no one else could achieve such combat strength at the universe venerable realm. The disciples nodded and looked at Wu Sha and the others in the dragon field. Rumble, 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 rumble. At this time, waves of terrifying and vast energy came from the bodies of Wu Sha and the others. The vast energy, with a trace of the aura of the universe and their respective attributes, surged into their bodies. Their bodies began to change qualitatively. Wang Xian looked over with curiosity in his eyes. Various attributes seemed to have come to life and surged into their bodies, transforming and strengthening them from the inside out. Fortunately, Dragon Palace's current level was relatively high, so it could completely block the power of their breakthroughs. Otherwise, the commotion caused by their breakthroughs would have caused great changes in heaven and earth that could have been felt from a radius of trillions of kilometers. Even so, the vast scene of their breakthroughs shocked all the experts of Dragon Palace. The energy entered their bodies and gradually turned into a sphere. The sphere seemed to contain a world. The energy in the world evolved in form, as if a universe was forming. The scene in the sphere was different for everyone. Inside Wu Shou's sphere, there was a strange darkness, and a blurry figure flickered. Inside the sphere of demon wings, a huge demonic beast was born and gradually spread its wings that covered the sky. Inside Lei Shan's sphere, there was a world of thunder and lightning. A spot of light shuttled back and forth. All the disciples of Dragon Palace stared at the various visions. These visions could bring them great inspiration. Wang Xian watched quietly as the energy in the sphere finished evolving. Finally, the figures of Wu Shou and the others appeared. At this moment, the aura on their bodies had clearly changed. They seemed to be more in tune with the universe, and their aura was more elegant. There was no pressure on them, but they had a sense of majesty. This majesty was so majestic that some of the weaker ones did not dare to look at it directly. This was a leap in the level of life. Not bad. Wang Xian looked at them with a smile and nodded his head. Dragon King, we have broken through. Wu Shou and the others said to Wang Xian excitedly. All right. You guys should stabilize your strength in the Dragon Palace first. Don't leave the Dragon Palace for the time being. Wang Xian chuckled and instructed them. The breakthrough of Wu Shou and the others meant that Dragon Palace could be promoted to a pinnacle race. However, Wang Xian did not intend to announce it, nor did he intend to promote it to a pinnacle race. He wanted to announce the promotion when there were at least dozens of universe rulers in Dragon Palace. Chapter 3707, It's Dragon King. When Wu Shou and the rest heard Wang Xian's words, they answered respectfully. They immediately flew back to their residences. Dragon King, our Dragon Palace has already given birth to a true ruler. We can already ascend to the pinnacle and restore the glory of the divine dragon clan. Prime Minister Turtle walked over excitedly and said, It's not a problem for them to become a peak race, but it's still not enough to restore the glory of the divine dragon tribe. Let's keep the news of Wu Shou and the others' breakthroughs a secret for now. Wang Xian said with a smile. At the side, Prime Minister Turtle nodded. You should have seen Wu Shou and the others' breakthroughs. I hope that more and more disciples in our Dragon Palace can break through to the sovereign realm. He looked around and said, All of you will definitely cultivate diligently and strive to break through the shackles. A group of disciples of Dragon Palace who had reached the peak of the venerable realm bowed and said. Wang Xian nodded his head. Currently, the Dragon Palace had over 1,500 third-order universe sovereigns. As for those who reached the pinnacle of the universe venerable realm, there were many of them. After all, the devouring dragon could only fight 2 levels higher. However, the devouring dragon's breakthrough did not have any shackles. At the same time, it was also very troublesome for them to advance. Even though there were no shackles, they needed to devour a sovereign realm expert's god country. Or perhaps it was a supreme treasure of this level. All in all, there were about 1,500 experts. These 1,500 people had already reached the peak. As for how many of them could break through and how long it would take, Wang Xian had no idea. A pinnacle universe venerable would take different amounts of time to break through. Some might be tens of thousands of years old, while others might be hundreds of millions or even billions of years old. Of course, the 1,500 disciples at the peak of the venerable realm in the Dragon Palace could also make a breakthrough in a few years. In any case, he wasn't sure. However, the Dragon Palace had the Dragon Field. In the Dragon Field, all the members of the Dragon Palace would have their power of understanding greatly improved. The effects of the Dragon Field of the divine dragon race in the past were not as insane as the effects of this Dragon Palace. Logically speaking, experts of Dragon Palace would have a higher chance of improving if they cultivated in the Dragon Field. The advancement of Wu Shou and the rest did not disrupt Wang Xian's plan. He continued to return to the blood pool in the land of Demon Bone and began to condense the blood refinement fruit. As time passed, the number of purebred divine dragons in the Dragon Palace increased from 2,000 to more than 5,000. However, due to the lack of resources, the Dragon Palace did not improve much. One day, 1,000 years later, Wang Xian suddenly received an invitation. The invitation was sent to him by the spirit demon king, inviting him to participate in the celebration of his daughter's rebirth. Yes, Ling Honggu had broken through. Over a decade ago, she had completed her breakthrough and become a universe ruler. The spirit demon clan had also joined the skeleton clan. With Ling Honggu's grandfather, the Black Vulture King, around, they naturally joined the Black Vulture King's camp. Now, the Black Vulture King wanted to hold a celebration for Ling Honggu. Wang Xian replied immediately. He was in the land of Demon Bone. The distance from here to the spirit demon clan was very close. The distance was very close, but he was not anxious. Buzz buzz. At the same time, at the location of the Dragon Palace, where the Dragon Queens lived, Lan Qingyu, who was in the midst of her cultivation, suddenly felt a majestic energy surging towards her. Her expression changed and she immediately opened her eyes. Xiao Zhai and Xiao Lan's enormous body appeared in his eyes. In his eyes, Xiao Lan and Xiao Zhai exuded a vast and terrifying aura. They seemed to be floating in the ocean, with energy tumbling around them. It was a shocking scene. The grayish energy gradually surrounded them, like a huge egg that was undergoing nirvana. In the Dragon Palace, Lan Qingyue's figure was also gradually enveloped by the grayish energy. Such a huge commotion immediately attracted the attention of a group of girls. Guan Shuqing and the rest of the girls flew over and were shocked to see Lan Qingyu, who was enveloped by the energy. This situation is similar to when Wu Shuo and the rest broke through. Is Qingyu about to break through? It should be Xiao Lan, Xiao Zhai, and Qingyu breaking through after receiving the energy nourishment. Guan Shuqing, Feng Luan, and the rest immediately spoke. They immediately sent the news to Wang Xian. Dear Dragon Empresses, what happened? Prime Minister Turtle sensed the commotion and quickly flew over. Prime Minister Turtle, call Wu Shuo, Water Demon, and the rest over. See if Qingyu is breaking through. Feng Luan immediately instructed Prime Minister Turtle. Yes, Dragon Queen. Prime Minister Turtle did not dare to delay. He immediately called Wu Shuo, Water Demon, Ming Shuo, and the rest over. Currently, the 7 of them were the strongest in the Dragon Palace. Greetings, Dragon Queens. Wu Shuo and the rest flew over and greeted immediately. Wu Shuo, take a look. Is Qingyu breaking through? Guan Shuqing quickly asked. Judging from this situation, she should be breaking through. Wu Shuo and the rest looked over and were shocked. The Blue Dragon Queen is breaking through. This is unbelievable. Water Demon and the rest were a little surprised. Their Dragon Queen broke through just like that. Huh? Shuqing, what's going on with Qingyu? Did she break through? At this moment, Wang Xian, who had just received the news, returned immediately. Sensing the terrifying energy, he immediately teleported over. His eyes fell on Lan Qingyu, and his eyes sparkled. Xiao Xian, we don't know either. We were cultivating when Qingyu suddenly felt a majestic energy. Moreover, her current situation is similar to when Wu Shuo and the rest broke through. Guan Shuqing and the rest of the girls said. Don't worry, she's breaking through. Wang Xian looked over and felt that Lan Qingyue's body was undergoing a qualitative change. His eyes sparkled. I didn't expect Xiao Lan and the rest to break through. Wang Xian said. When they came to the interior of the chaotic continent, Xiao Lan and the rest entered the sea of the mountain sealand to train. In just over 1,000 years, they actually broke through. This speed was really terrifying. Xiao Lan's breakthrough is reciprocated to Qingyu. This ancient god Kuan breeder is really scary. No wonder he was once besieged. Wang Xian stared at Lan Qingyu. Qingyu is really breaking through? That's so fast. The group of girls looked on in shock. Now, with the huge amount of resources, the girls had reached the peak of the universe supremacy level. Moreover, they had all become purebred divine dragons. However, they felt that they still needed some time and opportunities to break through. They didn't expect Qingyu to break through so quickly. Qingyu is breaking through. Together with Xiao Lan and Xiao Zhai, the number of true universe dominators in the Dragon Palace has reached 10. Wang Xian looked on with a smile. Chapter 3708, 10 First Order Sovereigns, including Fan Qinglan, Xiao Yu, and Bei Shuang, The Dragon Palace had 13 experts that could fight against First Order Sovereign. Moreover, the 7 crazy demons weren't ordinary First Order Sovereigns. They had reached the pinnacle of the First Order Sovereign realm. The hurdle to advance from First Order Sovereign realm to Second Order Sovereign realm was lower than Supremacy realm. With the Dragon Field in the Dragon Palace, it wouldn't be a problem for them to advance. It wouldn't take long for them to complete the breakthrough. Wang. In front, Lan Qingyue's advancement was gradually completed. She opened her eyes and looked at Wang Xian and the rest with a smile. Xiao Xian. Lan Qingyu walked over and greeted with a smile. Congratulations. Wang Xian smiled and nodded. Seems like Xiao Lan and the rest have all broken through. Yeah. Lan Qingyu nodded. Xiao Lan and the rest have broken through in the Sea of Mountains. Now they can go deeper into the Sea of Mountains. All right, tell them to be careful. The Sea of Mountains is a dangerous place. Wang Xian nodded. Congratulations, Qingyu. Sister Qingyu, isn't your breakthrough a little too fast? At the side, a few girls surrounded him and said enviously. You guys will break through soon. I'm just lucky. Lan Qingyu said humbly. She was the ancient god Kuan breeder. Her speed of improvement depended on the speed of the Kuan she reared. Xiao Lan's improvement depended on Lan Qingyue's. As for Lan Qingyu, her improvement was unhindered. It wasn't without reason that the ancient god Kuan breeder profession was annihilated by the pinnacle races. In his opinion, Wang Xian should have obtained this opportunity because the divine dragon race had left it on Earth. Just like the divine dragon system, the ancient god Kuan breeder's legacy, the item that gave birth to the bone dragon, and the 5 elements origin source should have been left behind by the divine dragon race on Earth. Over the next few days, Wang Xian played with Lan Qingyu and the girls. 3 days later, he looked at the time and left the Dragon Palace. The Spirit Demon Clan's invitation letter and Ling Honggu's celebration hall, he still had to attend. The distance between the Dragon Palace and the land of Devilbone was still very far. After passing through several teleportation formations, Wang Xian arrived at the land of Devilbones after more than 3 months. Devil. As soon as he arrived at the land of Demon Bone, he saw streaks of black light soaring into the sky from the direction of the Spirit Demon Clan. There were 4 beams of black light that seemed to connect the earth and the void. From afar, it was a magnificent sight. It's not the aftermath of a battle. Wang Xian sensed for a moment before flying over quickly. With a speed comparable to a third-order universe sovereign, Huang Xiaolong arrived at the Spirit Demon race's territory in less than a few minutes. This is... Hovering in front of the Spirit Demon tribe, Wang Xian stared ahead with glistening eyes. A sea of skeletons, a sea of densely packed skeletons. They were all skeletons, arranged neatly. Countless skeletons surrounded and guarded the entire Spirit Demon race. This sea of skeletons is really terrifying. This should be the Black Vulture King's skeleton army. Wang Xian guessed. Wang Xian had seen the Black Vulture King before. Now that he thought about it, he should have the strength of a second-order universe sovereign. However, the experts of the skeleton race were usually several times stronger than those of the same level. Therefore, the Black Vulture King wasn't weak. However, the current Wang Xian was confident that he was stronger than the Black Vulture King. Dragon King of Dragon Palace, welcome. Wang Xian flew towards the Spirit Demon race and took out the invitation letter when he saw the skeleton birds circling in the sky. Kaka, Dragon King of Dragon Palace, please. A skeleton bird flew over, landed below Wang Xian and spoke. Wang Xian nodded his head and stood on the skeleton bird. The skeleton bird spread its wings and flew further in. Wang Xian saw a tall platform in the depths of the forest. There were many skeletons standing on the platform. The combat strength of the skeletons here was above the universe sovereign level. Among them, Wang Xian could sense the aura of hundreds of first-order universe sovereign skeletons, as well as stronger auras. In front of the platform, there were seats high above. Some of the seats were already occupied by skeletons. Sweeping his gaze across, Wang Xian saw familiar figures. Black Vulture King and the Spirit Demon King. The Black Vulture King sat in the middle while the Spirit Demon King stood beside him. Welcome, Dragon King. The Spirit Demon King, Black Vulture King and the rest greeted Wang Xian with smiles. The Black Vulture King also stood up with a smile. Huh! Beside the Black Vulture King, there were also a few tall skeletons. There were golden skeletons and black skeletons. They looked at Wang Xian with the ghostly fire dancing in their eyes. Black Vulture King, Spirit Demon King. Wang Xian landed in front of them and cupped his fists with a smile. You're too kind. You've grown to the point where I have to look up to you. The Spirit Demon King immediately replied with a smile. Red Bone and I are friends. Let's call him Uncle Spirit Demon. Wang Xian smiled. He opened his mouth and said, Haha, great. The Spirit Demon King smiled happily and his face was filled with excitement. Because of his daughter, his status had risen tremendously. Red Bone is still inside. He'll come out later. Dragon King, take a seat. The Black Vulture King gestured with a smile. Sure, I didn't expect Red Bone to break through so quickly. Wang Xian sat beside the Black Vulture King and replied politely. Haha, it's all thanks to you, Dragon King. The Black Vulture King laughed. Huh! This Dragon King is sitting beside the Black Vulture King, side by side with our king. Similarly, there were also skeleton clan powerhouses seated in the lower seats. On the stage, there were more than 100 First-Order Sovereign Realm experts from the skeleton race. At the highest seats, there were 10. Excluding Wang Xian and the Black Vulture King, there were already 4 seats occupied by skeleton kings. Their auras were no weaker than the Black Vulture King. Clearly, those who could sit in this row were all Second-Order Universe sovereigns. The fact that Wang Xian could sit there surprised some of the skeleton clan experts. They had naturally heard of the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. He was currently in the limelight in the chaotic continent. The Dragon Palace was also known as the pinnacle clan of the future. The strength of the Dragon King was unparalleled in the entire Invincible domain. His influence and strength were extremely strong. But to them, this was merely strength. To the high-level clans, it was an invincible existence. To the skeleton clan, it was just SOSO. They were experts from the pinnacle clans. When they saw the Dragon King sitting together with the Black Vulture King, they were slightly surprised. Chapter 3709. Given the Dragon King's strength, he's not qualified to sit with our king. Although the Dragon King is invincible in the Invincible domain, there are no universe lords there. I heard that the Dragon King and Black Vulture King's granddaughter, Princess Ling Honggu, are on good terms. Perhaps that's the reason. In addition, the Dragon King is much stronger than a First-Order Universe Lord. Below, some skeletons discussed in secret. The skeleton race valued the strong as the king. They were all subordinates of Black Vulture King. Since Black Vulture King didn't say anything, their king didn't either. Naturally, they couldn't say anything. This must be the Dragon King. Hee, the Dragon Palace's battle record is pretty impressive. At the side, a skeleton looked at Wang Xian and spoke with a smile. I'm flattered. I can't be compared to the seniors here. Wang Xian smiled and cupped his fists at them. Haha, Dragon King, you're too humble. Given your potential, it won't be long before you surpass us. Black Vulture King smiled and introduced. Come, Dragon King, let me introduce to you. This is King Babak, this is King Kushan, this is King Yenmore, and this is King Xiosha. These are my friends. Greetings, everyone. Wang Xian cupped his fists at them. Haha, I'm looking forward to another pinnacle race in the universe. I'm also looking forward to reaching the Universe Lord realm. King Yenmore smiled at Wang Xian and said. They were friends of Black Vulture King and would naturally give him some face. Wang Xian had a simple conversation with them. As he swept his gaze across the surroundings, he was a little surprised by the skeleton experts in the field. The skeleton race was a pinnacle race born in this cataclysm. But with just Black Vulture King calling some friends and some skeleton kings, there were more than 100 universe lords here. This shocked him. How could the skeleton race have so many sovereigns? This made him feel strange and surprised. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Ha ha ha, Black Vulture King, you just have a granddaughter who has advanced to the Universe Lord realm. Why are you here? TSK. At this moment, an imposing aura and a voice came from behind. Wang Xian looked over and his eyes flickered. This was a group of over 30 skeleton kings. The 4 leading skeleton kings were all second-order universe sovereigns. The one who spoke was a skeleton king with a long tail that looked like a lizard. His entire body was blood-red and filled with a berserk aura. Its entire body was like a blood-red metal, revealing a sharp edge. The 3 skeleton kings beside him also had powerful auras. Behind them was a group of first-order sovereign realm skeleton kings. Another 30 or so sovereigns arrived. Haha, Lizard King, I'm very happy that my granddaughter has broken through. If you have any grandchildren who have broken through, you can also invite me. The Black Vulture King stood up and laughed heartily. Hee hee. The Lizard King laughed coldly. It's just one more ruler. I'm not that bored. I heard that your granddaughter, Black Vulture King, has obtained a powerful inheritance. Looks like her future potential is not simple. We'll have to witness it later. Beside the Lizard King, a Skeleton King said with a smile. All right. The Black Vulture King nodded. The 4 Skeleton Kings flew over. Wang Xian could tell that the Black Vulture King and the Lizard King did not see eye to eye. Clearly, they had some grudges. But for some reason, he was invited over. He did not understand the rules of the skeleton race. Yenmore King, Shosha King, you old guys are here too. The Lizard King came to the side and swept his gaze across the Skeleton Kings beside the Black Vulture King. Hee hee, of course we're here. Yenmore King replied plainly. Ha ha. The Lizard King laughed heartily and sat on the throne. He suddenly turned his head and looked at Wang Xian. You haven't broken through to the universe sovereign realm? Dragon King of Dragon Palace. Wang Xian looked at him and cupped his fist. Dragon King of Dragon Palace? I've heard of it. The Lizard King's eyes flickered with ghostly fire as he looked at the Black Vulture King. He spread his arms on the throne and said, Black Vulture King, don't let a random brat sit beside us. He's not qualified and strong enough. Heh. Upon hearing him, the Black Vulture King looked at him and said, Lizard King, this is my territory. I'll call the shots. It's your territory, yes. But if any one of you can sit beside me, that would be disrespect to me. The Lizard King said plainly as he wrapped his fingers on the throne. All right, Lizard King. Today is my granddaughter's birthday celebration. The Black Vulture King lowered his voice and said, Did I say anything wrong? The Lizard King looked at him before sweeping his gaze across the Skeleton Kings beside him and asked with a smile. The Lizard King is right. A Skeleton King chimed in as he looked at Wang Xian. Wang Xian sat there and raised his eyebrows. He placed his hands on the throne and looked at the Lizard King. Lizard King, do you have a problem with me? Oh. Upon hearing Wang Xian's question, the ghostly fire in the Lizard King's eyes became even more intense as he stared at Wang Xian. If you have a problem, you can tell me, Lizard King. Wang. As soon as Wang Xian finished his sentence, his figure and the throne disappeared instantly. The Lizard King narrowed his eyes when he saw Wang Xian disappear. Today is a friend's birthday celebration. Let's celebrate. A voice suddenly sounded from the right side. In the next moment, a wine glass floated in front of the Lizard King. It was filled with wine. Wang Xian appeared 1 meter away from the right side of the Lizard King. He raised his wine glass and extended his hand to the Lizard King with a smile. The ghostly fire in the Lizard King's nostrils dimmed instantly. He lifted his tail slightly and stared at Wang Xian with caution and shock. Wang. The wine glass in front of him moved slightly and came before him. The Lizard King looked over and clenched his fist slightly. A surge of energy covered the wine glass. A formless resistance began. Ha ha ha, no wonder you're the Dragon King who can lead the divine dragon race back to the peak. A second later, the Lizard King laughed out loud. He took the wine glass and drank it directly. Lizard King, you're flattering me. Wang Xian smiled. He raised his wine glass and drank it. His figure and the throne disappeared again and returned to the previous position. Seeing this scene, the surrounding Skeleton Kings and their subordinates froze. Even the Black Vulture King was shocked. Just now, when Wang Xian suddenly appeared beside the Lizard King, they didn't notice. But when he returned to his original position, they were all looking at him. However, They only saw a blurry shadow flashing by. What did this mean? It meant that the Dragon King's speed was much faster than theirs. In fact, he wasn't even on the same level as them. For the convenience of reading next time, you can click on the collection button below to record this time. A throne can't be done casually. You can see it when you open the bookshelf next time. Chapter 37:10. This Dragon King isn't any weaker than us. In fact, he might even be stronger. The degree of his mutation would rank him in the top 3 even at the peak of the Divine Dragon tribe. On the platform of the Spirit Demon tribe, King Black Vulture, King Lizard, King Yenmore, and the rest of the 9 skeleton kings looked at Wang Xian in shock. Even King Black Vulture, who had some understanding of Wang Xian, was shocked. This terrifying speed was truly impossible for them to guard against. Moreover, they were all second-order universe sovereigns. Naturally, they saw Wang Xian and King Lizard playing with wine cup. Both sides were transferring energy to the wine cups. King Lizard was clearly not gaining the upper hand. In fact, he was at a disadvantage. As a result, he drank all the wine in the cup. This caused them to be extremely shocked. This Dragon King wasn't simple. He's indeed the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace to be able to lead the Dragon Palace to this stage. Impressive, impressive. King Shushan looked at Wang Xian and couldn't help but exclaim. He picked up the wine cup beside him and raised it to Wang Xian. He, compared to all the skeleton kings, I still have a long way to go. Seeing King Shushan's benevolent act, Wang Xian poured a cup of wine and raised it to him with a smile. Ha ha ha, the Divine Dragon tribe might really return to its peak in the hands of the Dragon King in the future. King Yenmore and the rest laughed and picked up their wine cup. They had a closer relationship with the Black Vulture King. However, they did not take Wang Xian too seriously just now. Merely nodding his head was already enough for them. However, Wang Xian had shown his strength to be on par with them. This made them acknowledge Wang Xian's strength. That was why they were so polite. Wang Xian smiled at them. Who would have thought that the Dragon King's strength would rise to such a terrifying level when he was weaker than me 2,000 years ago? The Spirit Demon King said with a sigh. I'm just relying on my powerful bloodline. Wang Xian replied humbly. His speed of improvement was indeed terrifying, even among the peak races. However, everything made sense. After all, the disciples of the peak races didn't have the shackles of realms when they were below the ruler realm. Hence, they could break through faster. The future is really the world of you youngsters. The Black Vulture King looked at Wang Xian, smiled, and instructed the Spirit Demon King beside him. The Spirit Demon King nodded and flew toward a building at the back. My granddaughter is about to come out. The Black Vulture King looked into a building in front and said to the group of skeleton kings beside him. As the Lizard King had been suppressed by Wang Xian, it kept a low profile and sat there in silence. Buzz. At this time, Ling Honggu, who was wearing a red dress and surrounded by blood-red flames, flew out of the building. She was dressed in red and had long, flowing hair. There was even a flame symbol on her forehead. His pure white arms made him look like a disciple of the skeleton clan. However, the energy contained within its body made one's heart palpitate. When Wang Xian saw Ling Honggu, he sized him up with flickering eyes. Ling Honggu, who had inherited Queen Scarlet's legacy, had become even more powerful after her breakthrough. She was even more of a goddess. It gave people the feeling that they were above the 9 heavens. Black Vulture King, is this your granddaughter who just broke through? The energy in her body is not simple. The Shushan King looked at Ling Honggu and asked the Black Vulture King. The other 7 skeleton kings were also shocked as they looked at the Black Vulture King. Haha, my granddaughter has inherited a powerful legacy. Be it in terms of future potential or combat strength of the same level, we can't be compared to her, the Black Vulture King said proudly. No wonder the Black Vulture King mobilized so many people for your granddaughter's breakthrough. You're really lucky, one of the skeleton kings said with a tinge of envy in his eyes. Naturally, they could tell that Ling Honggu's body was unusual. They could even feel the threat from Ling Honggu, who had just broken through. This was undoubtedly terrifying. It was comparable to the mutated existences of their skeleton clan. Greetings, grandfather, and fellow skeleton kings. Ling Honggu flew over, lifted his head, and cupped his fists at the Black Vulture King and the rest. When he saw Wang Xian, he revealed a smile. Wang Xian nodded at him with a smile. Haha, great. When the Black Vulture King saw Ling Honggu, he stood up with a smile. 3 claws, fate to awe, you guys go over. It's the Black Vulture King. Below, a dozen First-Order Sovereign Realm skeleton kings flew to the back of Ling Honggu and lowered their heads slightly. Not long ago, my granddaughter, Ling Honggu, broke through. I'm very happy. In this grand ceremony, I'll also officially announce something. Other than me, in the Black Vulture King's bloodline, Honggu will be our leader. In addition, 3 claws, fate to awe, I'll tell you clearly that in the future, Honggu's potential will be much stronger than mine. Her future path will be longer than mine. Among you, you can choose to submit to Honggu now and treat her as your king. The Black Vulture King stood there and said loudly. His words caused the group of skeleton kings to be slightly shocked. In the skeleton clan, transferring one's subordinates to Ling Honggu was something that would not be done unless one was a close relative. Of course, it would not be that easy to transfer one's subordinates to one's own kin. This would require one to have the strength to make them submit. 3 of you, come out and spar with Honggu. Don't worry, the Black Vulture King ordered. The Black Vulture King's subordinates looked at each other. It was obvious that they had some understanding of this matter. They also knew that their king placed great importance on Ling Honggu. The 3 of us will challenge Her Highness Princess Ling Honggu. The 3 skeleton kings walked out and bowed towards Ling Honggu as they spoke. All right. Ling Honggu looked over and nodded his head. His figure flashed, and he immediately flew into the air. Your Highness, please excuse us. The 3 skeleton monarchs moved and immediately floated around the red spirit bone. Make your move, you won't be able to break through my defense. Ling Honggu looked at them and waved his arm. The red dress on his body slowly turned blood red as it swayed around him. Ancient Withering. Skeleton. Corrode. Ghost Valley. Kill. The 3 skeleton kings felt the powerful pressure coming from Ling Honggu's body and did not hold back. They directly launched their strongest attack. Countless dried bone spears, terrifying skulls, and sinister ghost valleys directly attacked Ling Honggu. Blood Sea. Devour. Ling Honggu looked over and waved his arm. The surrounding blood-red dress directly met the attack. In the air, the blood-red dress turned into a blood sea and instantly melted the attacks of the 3 skeleton kings. Her blood-red dress swayed in the air and instantly attacked. Chapter 37:11. Her? What a strange blood sea. It can actually melt and devour the attacks of the 3 skeleton kings. Such powerful strength. She has such terrifying combat strength just after her breakthrough. No wonder the Black Vulture King said that his granddaughter's future potential is higher than his. As the battle broke out, Ling Honggu easily melted and devoured the attacks of the 3 skeleton kings. The blood-red sea of blood continued to attack forward. As for Ling Honggu, she had completely merged into the blood sea and could not be seen at all. Princess Ling Honggu is so strong. Indeed. This is not a battle of the same level. The 3 skeleton kings are not Princess Ling Honggu's strength at all. All the skeletons in the surroundings looked at this scene with bewilderment on their faces. Wang Xian looked over. Ling Honggu's strength wasn't something the First-Order Sovereign Realm skeleton king could compare to. Even if it was 1 against 3, she could easily annihilate them. Even if Ling Honggu's strength was not as strong as the mutated divine dragon, it was not too far off. Most importantly, her inheritance had not been completely integrated. Once it was integrated, she should be comparable to an existence like the mutated divine dragon. Swish, swish, swish. In the battle above, strips of blood-red cloth strangely flew out from 3 directions, entangling the 3 skeleton kings. The 3 skeleton kings' expressions changed as they tried to dodge and block. However, the strange power of the blood sea made it impossible for them to resist. We admit defeat. Princess Ling Honggu's strength is really terrifying. The 3 skeleton kings were slightly shocked as they admitted defeat. As the 3 skeleton kings finished their words, the blood-red blood sea and energy disappeared, revealing Ling Honggu's figure. Haha, great. The Black Vulture King saw it and said happily, "Among you, are there any who are willing to follow Hongu? We are willing to follow Princess Ling Hongu and serve Princess Ling Hongu in the future. We are willing to follow Princess Ling Hongu." Soon, 5 skeleton kings walked out from the Black Vulture King's underlings and knelt down. "Sure, Hongu. They will follow you and fight for you in the future." The Black Vulture King saw it and nodded with a smile. He looked at the army in front and said, "In addition, the Black Shark army will follow Hongu from now on. If she lives, you live. If she dies, you die. Yes, greetings, Spirit Red Bone Queen." The entire Black Shark Corps was made up of powerful skeletons. There were 100,000 of them, but they were all elites. They immediately knelt down and said, "The Black Vulture King really dotes on his granddaughter, to actually give her such power." The skeleton kings in the surroundings looked on in shock. Putting aside the fact that the 5 skeletons were first-order sovereigns, they were extremely powerful. At the same time, they had their own army. In addition to the powerful Black Shark Legion, this force was very terrifying. "Hehe, Black Vulture King, you must have called us here to ask for gifts, right? Hehe, I have 8 gold-tier warriors here, I'll give them to your granddaughter," a skeleton king said with a smile. With a wave of his arm, 8 third-order universe sovereigns appeared in front of Ling Hongu. "I have some toys here." The other skeleton kings also waved their arms and gave out some gift. As the Black Vulture King watched, a smile appeared on his face. "Ha ha ha, ha ha, good, good, come, Red Bones, thank those old fellows." The Black Vulture King happily waved at Ling Hongu. Ling Hongu immediately flew over and expressed her gratitude to the skeleton kings. "Congratulations, I happen to have a treasure that you can use." Wang Xian looked at Ling Hongu. With a wave of his palm, a flaming armor appeared in front of him and flew towards her. "Huh!" Ling Hongu was taken aback when she saw it. The Black Vulture King and the surrounding skeleton kings were astonished. Innate cardinal treasure. This was an innate cardinal treasure. Even ordinary sovereigns did not have an innate cardinal treasure. There were not many innate cardinal treasures in the universe, especially those that corresponded to one's elemental attribute. There were even fewer innate cardinal treasures that he could use. As for the innate cardinal treasure armor that Wang Xian handed over, it was obviously a defensive treasure. As long as one was a fire elemental expert, they could use it. Such a valuable treasure is given to him directly. It seems like the Dragon King has a good relationship with the Black Vulture King's granddaughter. The skeleton kings thought to themselves, "Wang Xian, this is too valuable." Ling Hongu's jaw dropped when she saw it. "Take it. I've obtained more than 10 innate cardinal treasures in the Invincible domain." Wang Xian smiled. He had obtained more than 10 innate cardinal treasures in the entire Invincible domain. Although he could use every elemental attribute, too many of them were of little value to him. As for the experts of the Dragon Palace, it was the best choice for them to nurture their own Dragon Balls. "Great." Ling Hongu smiled at him and put it away. "Hee hee." The Spirit Devil King couldn't help but laugh when he saw this. Now, Ling Hongu not only had a powerful grandfather, but he was also on good terms with the Dragon King. With these 2 powerful backers, he was also very excited. The Black Vulture King smiled when he saw Ling Hongu keeping it. There were few relationships between experts, but he was very happy to see this scene. In his opinion, the potential of the Dragon King was much stronger than his granddaughter. Ling Hongu saluted the skeleton kings one by one. After dozens of minutes, the Black Vulture King waved his arm and they came to a palace. There were 11 chairs in the palace. Obviously, they were for Wang Xian, Ling Hongu, and the skeleton kings. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows slightly when he saw this scene. "Our Hellbone King has sent news that the family channel is about to open. Let's discuss about entering." The Black Vulture King looked at them and said directly, "Ha!" Wang Xian was shocked when he heard the sudden words of the Black Vulture King. "Dragon King, you haven't heard about this yet. However, it won't be long before the entire chaotic continent knows about it," the Black Vulture King said to Wang Xian when he saw his shocked expression. "World Channel. Universe World Channel. From our 9-source universe to other universes. Wang Xian asked in surprise. It seems like you know something, Dragon King. This time, the world channel was opened by the giant beasts of the mountains and seas. They were also the ones who opened the door to their hometown to the world of the giant beasts, which is also the Starry Sky universe. The Black Vulture King continued to explain to Wang Xian. Starry Sky universe? Wang Xian nodded his head slightly. He had learned a little about the Starry Sky universe from the Void Pagoda. The Starry Sky universe was the universe where the giant beasts of the Starry Sky were born. Speaking of which, the giant beasts of the Nine-Source universe were considered outsiders. As for the reason, he wasn't sure. However, he should be able to ask the Black Vulture King this time. To understand the secrets of the universe.